What's up, everybody? This is In Liberty and Health, episode 10. Fuck, feels like yesterday I was doing episode 1. I got Josh Smith on the line here. We had a couple blips along the way to get him on here, but we're all good, and I'm super stoked to have him on. Josh, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, man. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for letting me reschedule and be sick and deal with all these kids and shit, dude. I really appreciate it.
Now, well, you got like a whole tribe, and I'm sure if one of you gets sick, then it's like a pandemic of its own.
Oh, dude, yeah, it spreads through the house quickly. I mean, everyone's sick, everyone's coughing. That's how it works, man. And every time one of the kids gets sick, I'm like, oh shit, dude, fuck, here we go. And my fiance's like, look, kids get sick. This is normal. That's what happens. I'm like, I know, but it sucks. You know what I mean? Anyway, our 8-month-old baby sitting there coughing. I'm like, oh god, I hate this shit.
Yeah,
It freaks me out. I get scared.
so you don't put a mask on them and bolt the door shut like in China? Well,
No,
you're Israeli, so
yeah, no, we don't wear masks in this house. And I think, as far as I'm concerned, I put the mask on maybe 15 times over the last,
Mhm.
2 years. We just didn't wear them. We carried on as normal, dude.
Yeah, well, you got a little lucky because, well, no, I shouldn't say lucky because you moved out of California. I was just listening to your show all this morning, but you literally moved out of California 5 minutes before they started the
Mhm.
lockdowns.
Yeah, like literally. And I wasn't moving, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, that wasn't my intention at first. I just saw how fast things were going. It was like I got home from the Illinois State Party convention, and I was the keynote speaker there. And I flew home, and they were talking about closing the bars and restaurants. And I'm like, oh shit, that really, they're gonna close all our bars and restaurants? Like, I eat out every day, dude. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And because I was like a bachelor living on my own, and my fiance now, but my girlfriend at the time was living in Iowa. And I had some things go down at work, and I was like, they're not going to let me come back to work because I was sick and I had to get a test, and I couldn't find anywhere that would test me. It was, um, uh, they were testing like 500 people a day or something, and then only if you were like dying, you know. And so I called my work. I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to come back to work. I guess I don't know what to tell you guys. You're going to have to find a new maintenance director. And so I had all these plane tickets for all these conventions that were getting canceled because of the pandemic. And so I texted my fiance, like, yo, I'm gonna come in and quarantine with you for 2 weeks, and then head back here and see if I can figure things out. She's like, yeah, do that. And I was like, all right, cool. So my flight left at 11:55 p.m. from SFO, and at midnight they started 24-hour lockdowns and curfews and all that stuff. So it was literally 5 minutes before all that shit started.
It's like just escaping the nuke. It's like almost like a kind of movie deal. You turn around and like, huh, shit.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
that,
well.
man.
Good luck, guys. And then I moved here with one suitcase and a carry-on bag, and we started a whole new life here, bro. I mean, from the ground up. We moved into our first apartment 3 weeks
Mhm.
after that, and we had an air mattress, and the electricity wasn't even on in our apartment yet, and so we
Mhm.
had to sleep on the floor that night. And now we have a nice house, 7 kids. I mean, it's been a crazy wild ride in 2 years for sure.
Jesus Christ, I'm like trying to picture the progression here out in my head, dude. That's
It's fast. It's real
yeah,
fast.
that's pretty crazy. So I've never really heard you tell the story. I've heard you kind of drop bits and pieces, but what kind of brought you to libertarianism? Probably should have started with that, but
Oh, sure,
you know,
sure.
better late than never.
Yeah, well, it was war, man. I mean, that's my number one. It's been my number one war drum for a long time, when it comes to politics. And I joined the military literally like just a couple months after 9/11. And I was going to go and protect my country from the evil terrorists that
The
had.
people who hate us because
Yeah,
we're free.
yeah, exactly. And I was a kid. I just turned 18, and I didn't know any better. And so I joined the Navy because I didn't really want to fight a war, and that's so I joined the Navy. And within 5 months of joining, I was in the Persian Gulf on the USS Constellation. We were the shock and awe campaign in Iraq. I mean, our battle group was, we dropped 100 million tons of ordnance on Baghdad. And that really fucked me up, man. I mean, it really jaded me. On the military industrial complex. It's also when I first started really understanding that the government lies to us. Because we're in Iraq, and I'm going, what the fuck are we doing in Iraq? I mean, this isn't, these are the people who attacked us, and there's no weapons of mass destruction here. These people have like crude IEDs and hand me down Kalashnikovs, and it's like they don't have any weapons of mass destruction here.
Mhm.
And so when I got home, I was just extremely, extremely jaded on that, and I didn't want to be a part of it anymore. And when I got out 2005, I felt really politically homeless, because I was a Republican and I had been a neocon. I mean, I was essentially a George Bush Republican. which is horrible to say. It makes me feel icky now. And I found Ron Paul in 2007. I was at a bar having a drink, and he was on the TV, and he was talking about blowback and how we're creating terrorists and all this shit. And I started researching him, and it might have been in 2006, early 2007.
Mhm.
And so I jumped on the Ron Paul campaign. I mean, I literally campaigned for Ron Paul in 2008 for his presidential campaign. And I learned more about politics than I ever thought I could. But then I found Murray Rothbard, and first I found Milton
Mhm.
Friedman. I started reading Capitalism and Freedom, and started kind of reading about the philosophy and the ideas of liberty, and free markets and stuff like that. And then I found F.A. Hayek, and I read The Road to Serfdom, and then the inevitable jump to Murray Rothbard. And once you read For a New Liberty, in my opinion, or even Anatomy of the State, it's a window you can't close, man.
Mhm.
You'll never look at the state the same way after you read either of those books. And so, it was a kind of a quick progression after that. In 2010, I think after watching what the GOP did to Ron Paul, and what they do to all freedom, liberty voices, if they don't toe the line at some point. I joined the Libertarian Party, and I became a Libertarian Party voter in California. And I tried to reach out to the party. I was a hyped up activist. I had worked on Ron Paul's campaign, and they just kind of stonewalled me, man. They were like, didn't give me any outlet to do anything. I didn't know there was a state party. I didn't know there was county parties. I didn't know anything about what was going on with the Libertarian Party. I just knew that they exuded the principles that I wanted to be a part of. You know what I mean? And in 2012, I saw Gary Johnson run for his first campaign for party for the Libertarian Party, and I wasn't hooked on Gary. I knew Gary had done some good stuff in New Mexico, and so I went back and pushed for Ron Paul again in 2012, and still as a registered Libertarian voter. And that didn't work out. Like, once again, I watched the GOP just completely blackball anybody who was interested in freedom and liberty. And so I went back to the Libertarian Party 2015, and started actually trying to work with the party. I joined the state party in 2015, 2016 in Washington State. I was living in Southern Washington at the time. Became a regional rep there. Started learning how to build affiliates and recruit people and get people interested in the party. And then I ran for chairman against Nicholas Sarwark in 2018. Lost miserably, but fuck that guy. And then I ran again in 2020 and lost by only 100 votes. I could have been the chair of the party. And in fact, we believe there was some fuckery there, because they had the
Mhm.
hybrid convention, half online, half in person. If it had just been in person, there's no doubt I had the room. It wasn't even close. So we don't know what they did online. We couldn't watch it. You know what I mean? And this is my second term as an at-large on the Libertarian National Committee. I've been almost 4 years in national leadership now. And, I have stated I'm going to be running for vice chair again, or vice chair, not vice chair again, but vice chair this time. And
Mhm.
we'll see how that works out, man.
Yeah, like we were shooting the shit off the air. I was watching your show with Angela McCardle, and I'm very very excited for when you guys are up to be elected at national. I think that's definitely what the Libertarian Party needs, because it's very very sad that when essentially the government under a Republican who's supposed to be the bastion of freedom, right? Donald Trump was supposed to be, Jesus Christ incarnate, if you ask the GOP.
Sure.
And our basic human liberties are being restricted, and now there's vaccine mandates, but back then, it was just kind of like a afterthought. The Libertarian Party is nowhere to be found, absolutely nowhere. And you guys were talking about it, but it's true. That's unforgivable.
Yeah, I agree. And it's been horrible. And it's really hard for a guy who's in national leadership, while we're watching all the party members and non-party members alike just trash the party and its leadership. And it's like, dude, if I had been chair, if you guys had showed up to the 2020 national convention in Florida and voted me in as chair, I would have been the one crafting the messages coming out of social media, all of that stuff. But I have no control over that whatsoever now. None, zero. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, they didn't do anything, dude. They didn't. It was really, really, really sad to watch, dude.
Right. Yeah, and it is sad to see the way that the Libertarian Party's kind of acted with everything that's been going on. The whole deal with Karen Ann Harlow, the whole deal with
Oh,
New Hampshire. I'm not quite as well informed on what's going on in Delaware, and maybe we could dive into that a little
It's the
bit.
same
But
thing as New Hampshire, pretty much. I
okay,
mean, rogue person is mad that the Mises Caucus won the state board, so they're trying to steal it unethically. I mean, it's the same thing, same exact shit.
right, and
Sore losers.
yeah, my thing with this is I'm not against trying to take over the GOP. I don't think it's going to work because these people treat liberty-minded people like a joke.
Sure,
They
they're
said,
lapdogs. You're
right,
lapdogs. Yeah.
right, they're controlled opposition, they're lapdogs. You get a treat whenever you're good. They all love Rand Paul and Thomas Massey now, but last year when they were trying to block the stimulus checks going out, then they were third. What did they call him? Thomas Massey was a second rate.
Oh yeah, second rate.
Yeah, something like that. Um, that's just why I don't see the GOP as very viable, but I don't consider them mutually exclusive either. If you're having success with the GOP, then okay, I support you.
True.
But the Libertarian Party most closely aligns with my principles, and we don't have, we've never necessarily had a big Libertarian Party apparatus in the country, so we don't know what that could look like. And with the Mises Caucus in charge, I do believe that's something very, very positive. But we know what the GOP looks like when it's in charge. Just look at the first couple of years of Trump. They got nothing done.
Yeah, I love people like Tho Bishop and people who want to work within the GOP. I'm perfectly happy having an allyship with them and working with them and doing what I can to help them where I'm not hurting my own causes. You know what I mean, and my own party's causes. But I don't see it happen. I have a lot of time working in the GOP a lot, and I've watched what they think of liberty-minded people in the GOP, and it's toe the party line or else. That's what it is. It's really what it is. And if you don't toe the party line but somehow end up winning an election, you're a lapdog. I mean, if they'll praise you when you do the things they want you to do, and they will talk mad shit about you when you don't. And it's I don't know. It's hard to deal with for me. I can't be a part of the GOP after what they did to Papa Paul, man. There's just no way.
Yeah, and honestly, the more and more I learned about it, because initially, before I became I guess I want to say the libertarian that I kind of am today, I always consider myself a libertarian, but up till a couple years ago, I was pretty pro-war. Like, yeah, man, they hate us for our freedom. Fuck those guys. We should go play in the sand and kill them all. But then, I listened to Dave Smith and Scott Horton, and they kind of set the record straight. And I'm like, oh, now this all makes sense. And then watched a lot of the Ron Paul debates, and that really kind of opened your eyes to the mess that we have going on there. Yeah, and I just don't see the GOP as a very, very viable liberty deal. There's this huge red wave going on. And one of the videos I put up recently was, okay, you guys need to remember why you were elected. Everything that's going on right now, the inflation, the woke stuff, CRT, vaccine mandates, you guys were elected to fight this. Right. You guys weren't good in 2020. But, now that you got Joe Biden, a walking corpse in there, and all these fucking ridiculous Democrats, you're elected to fight this. Don't forget that. And even libertarians in Pennsylvania, if you guys are not going to, I don't want to say do the bidding of your constituents, but if you're not going to be good on the stuff you need to be good on, then I'll call you out on it. And I'm sure all the other good libertarians are going to call you out on it and say, like, hey, we didn't elect you just so that way you could gain status in our little social club here. We need this work done. Like, it's now or never at this point. The fascism that everybody's been talking about and reading about, it's here.
Right.
We're not waiting anymore. The vaccine mandate just went out. I believe it goes into effect here in Pittsburgh in December, I want to say. I mean, there were protests, and I think they said there's about 200 or so people in the police force in Pittsburgh that are eligible to retire. And they said in a news article that if 10% of them are gone, then that could decimate their police force. So sure. Else I could think, I'm like, man, and Kapistan is here in Pittsburgh.
Well, they finally figured out how to defund the police, I guess. Huh?
I'm sorry, that was a little bit of a long tirade, but basically my point is we need to make sure that even the libertarians that we elect are going to be good on the stuff that they say they're good on. What's kind of the strategy going forward here?
Oh man, I don't know. I I know for the MC, it's always going to be local. You know what I mean? I
Mhm.
mean that's their thing. They focus on winning local elections, and I'm sure you know, support some state people too. We always did. I used to be the candidate committee chairman for the Mises Caucus, so that was my job, was to reach out and try and find candidates for us to support financially and through endorsements and stuff like that too. And you know, we'll endorse and help some state candidates. I'm sure that the caucus will, but the local focus is important because you do have the opportunity to nullify, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I think really anybody that doesn't know should be paying attention to the 10th Amendment Center and Michael Bolden, and really understanding that you can become a sanctuary city if you get enough of a city council. You know what I mean? You know, you get the majority of a city council, and you can tell the state government to fuck off. You can tell the federal government to fuck off. We're not going to force our people in this city to do this. You know, and that's a good focus. I think it's smart, you know, especially if you're into Hoppa and the 10,000 Liechtensteins, and you know, trying to you know, create, and or like last night I had Andrew from Popular Liberty on talking about the anti-tax, and how, you know, we could get these 10,000, or what is it, 19,000 municipalities to basically open their own portfolios, stop with what, you know, with the excess tax that they have now, and stop taxing people. And then, you know, once you have your own, once you're financially stable as a municipality, you can tell the government to get fucked. Like, you can do whatever you want in your city. They can't, you know what I mean? And the worst they can do is come in and try and crush you and crush your government. But I mean, you know, they don't want to go and fight a war in one of their own
Mhm.
cities against their own people. Nobody really wants to do that.
Yeah.
The military certainly doesn't want to do that. You know what I mean? I'll tell you that right now. This is a jobs program for most people. They don't want to go fucking kill their own people. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think it's a great focus. I think locally is where we can really make a difference. I think, you know, if we have Republicans like Tho Bishop that are focusing
Mhm.
liberty locally, and we have libertarians like the Mises Caucus that are focusing locally on wins, you know, eventually we'll get enough municipalities where we can start making a real big difference. So,
Right. And I think that's a very, very important focus to go as local as possible, because I believe that's where you can generate the most change and face like the least resistance. Because it seems like the Libertarian Party keeps trying to throw up, I don't want to say necessarily doing a Hail Mary, but they throw in these candidates for national. And, you know, you look at the Joe Jorgensen campaign. I voted for Joe. I like Joe as a libertarian, but like, you
boring.
know,
She was boring.
right,
She's
she'll
very
put you to
boring.
frickin' sleep,
Yeah.
especially in a year where everybody's kind of like, what the hell's going on here? We have to pick between Donald fucking Trump and Joe Biden.
Right.
You know, what the hell? And it was an incredibly huge missed opportunity where you could have spread some hot liberty fire on the people and people would have just ate it up,
Yep.
but it wasn't there. Um, you know, going next year in the year or into 2024, who knows what the hell the problem's going to be? But I think the opportunity is very, very big for libertarians or a good Republican, if there are any good Republicans out there, to bring this message to people.
Sure. Well, and I think 2022 is going to be even more important, in my opinion. You know,
Mhm.
we got the midterm elections. We need people at all levels of elections, literally spitting hot liberty shit, man. I mean, that's what we need. You know, if you're going to run for Congress, you better be ready to spit hot liberty shit. If you're going to run for Senate,
Mhm.
you know, any of this, I mean, you have got to be loud and proud about the fact that you are going to fight this creeping tyranny at every level you possibly can. It's going to be the most important issue of the day, man. I mean, it really is, to a lot of, especially all the people on the right. If you're on the right and this isn't an important issue, you get fucked. Like, you don't belong here. You know what I mean? This is the most important issue of our lifetime, of our generation. Dude. I mean, this is, you know, they are using private businesses to enforce their medical tyranny. I mean, that's where we're at in the United States right now. And if you're not talking about it as somebody on the right, you don't belong here. This isn't your place, dude. It's not for you. You know what I mean? Like, and so it blows my mind, man, that so many people have been so quiet about this. But, you know, we got leaders starting to speak up too, professional athletes like Aaron Rodgers and Kyrie Irving and Andrew Bogut, who I had on my show recently.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's great to see some of these leaders start speaking up in culture, because that's, you know, they say politics is down when a culture, or culture is down when a politics, depending on who you are. Those two things go hand in hand, dude. So we change the culture, we can change the politics for sure. For sure.
Right. And this kind of taps into a little bit of what we were talking about earlier and before the show. But there needs to be kind of a libertarian culture, and these people who are in this little pond of the Libertarian Party and are on their lily pad and they feel like they're great because they're an elected official to their local affiliate. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if that's all you got going on and the Libertarian Party's your whole life, then people don't really look at you the same way that they would as somebody who's well established. Reed and I were also talking about this when I had him on my show the other day. But it would definitely help the liberty movement to have more impressive people who have families like you. You're cultivating the values that you want to see reflected in the world. And we need more people like that. That's part of the reason why I started this podcast, because I wanted to bring the message of, being libertarian and being healthy. Because, if you're a 300, 400-pound dude that knows every single line to Rothbard, but you can't even walk up the fucking stairs, then if you really need to get down and dirty and fight for your liberty, are you going to be able to do it?
No, hell no.
No, and you're not going to scream Rothbard at them until they run away.
Right.
So that's kind of been my message with this podcast, as well as decentralization and having a strong community.
Listen up, Drew Bingham. Listen up, buddy.
I didn't say that.
That fuck.
I don't disagree or agree. I won't say it.
I'm just saying, dude, I'm a big guy too. And I'm not uber healthy either. You know what I mean? Like I smoke cigarettes and do dumb shit. And that's why you're like liberty and health. You want to come on? I'm like, me? I'm the guy. No, but I can still run a mile and do all that shit too. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm completely out of shape. And I have some changes that I need to make for sure. And to be better for my family. But yeah, man, it is incredibly important that we have some healthy people out there talking that liberty shit. You know what I mean? Like, cause there are a lot of big fat neck beards with fedoras that spout the liberty shit, man. And you're like, dude, fucking just do something good for yourself, man. You know what I mean? Best thing you could do. And I had Patrick Smith on the show a while back. He's a super consistent anarchist, like really, really consistent. And I asked him, what's one of the best things you can do to better society? He said, focus on yourself, dude. He said, if you make your own life better, then your community wants to do better. That's how it works. It's a race. You know what I mean? Your neighbors want to have better lawnmower than you. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works. You create a better environment for you and your family, and the people around you are going to do better. That's how it works. And so he's absolutely right, man. That's really, it's kind of just like the localism theory for politics, start local. Let that grow out from your community. Let it, become a city council member, and then next week, when you're done there, start running for county supervisor, and build your brand up from the ground, man. I mean, it's really how it needs to work in politics. So.
Absolutely. And this almost goes to like the post-libertarian kind of world, which I kind of want to get your take on that too. But I agree with them in the idea of you should establish yourself to the best possible ability that you can. Sure. Where they say, basically be able to have your income anywhere, everywhere. There's still a lot about the post-libertarianism kind of deal, if I can call it that. And I'm sorry if anybody gets mad because I'm referring to it. Praxian. Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just watching your show with them, the one you did with Pete, Andrew, and Buck.
Yeah.
There's a lot I just don't know about the whole Praxian post-libertarianism deal, but I agree with them in the regards that you should fortify yourself and mobilize your income. But when I listened to the debate between Jason Stapleton and Dave Smith, my main takeaway there, and I'm not shitting on anybody, but basically all I got from that was Jason Stapleton says, fuck bitches, get money. And Dave Smith says, well, we should win elections locally and run people nationally to wake up as many people as possible. That was like my main takeaway from that.
Yeah, that's Jason Stapleton for you, man. I'm not a huge fan of the guy. You know that. But, I don't disagree with both sides. I really do. I think both sides have their place. And, to me, it's we're working towards the same goals. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we all want to see more liberty and freedom, and we do want to, these people are our enemies. Make no mistake about these. There are mortal fucking enemies. They want you dead or submissive. And so they're right in a lot of respects. They really are. We need to fight them, and we can't just sit around and be like, oh, our principles will save us, because they're not saving us. They're not saving us anymore. They're not. Right. I mean, look what's going on, so I get it.
Yeah, with the vaccine mandates going out now, I think a lot of libertarians, and I was thinking about this earlier, and I did slip my mind, but I'm glad I remembered it. A lot of libertarians are interpreting this vaccine mandate in a vacuum. They're thinking, oh, well, the businesses are just forcing us to be vaccinated, so we just won't do business with them. Well, dude, this is completely different. This is the president telling businesses, private businesses, that you must do this. And my question all along has been, okay, if you're going to force people to wear masks, force people to be vaccinated, force people to test weekly, how are you going to enforce this? What's the punishment for not obeying? And then if, let's say it's just a fine, what happens if you choose not to pay that fine?
Right.
They will send the police to your place of business and arrest you.
Right.
Will they actually do it? I don't know, but that's still a very, very, very scary precedent that we need to be on top of. And if you're not a libertarian that's concerned about this, you're just saying, oh, well, it's a private business. Shucks. Then, I don't think you're worth very much to the movement if you're not going to speak out against this and you're not going to be principled when it matters.
You're worth less than nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're a net negative on the movement. If you're not gonna, if you're gonna call yourself a liberty-minded person and not speak out against this COVID tyranny, you're a net negative on the entire movement. You're bringing us down. Like literally, it's the issue of our lifetime. There has been no more tyranny. The Patriot Act was bad, really bad. Fucking, we should. I was a little kid when the Patriot Act basically started. And I thought it was the right thing. But I've spoken out against the Patriot Act for the last 20 years too. You know what I mean? And now we find something that's even fucking worse. Like that's really where we're headed right now. We're talking about making OSHA the enforcement arm of absolute medical fascism.
Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about nationalizing every single business in this country to do the bidding of the federal government. You know what I mean? This is a whole nother fucking level of tyranny. And if you're not going to speak out against it and you're going to continue to tell people that you're for liberty, or even if you're going to be like, well, some parts of this is okay, like get all the way fucked, like go away. Don't help us.
Yeah.
We don't want you. You're a net negative on our mission here, and you're literally, you're letting this shit happen. I mean, you are. If you're not going to speak out against it, you're at this point, okay. And I'm not going to say silence is consent or whatever, but you're
enabling.
Yeah, you're enabling this shit. If you're not going to speak out every single day about this stuff, man. I mean, it gets worse every day. We went from, if you have 100 employees to now every business to now take your 5th shot. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not going to fucking do it. I'm going to speak out against it. And you're going to have to kill me to shut me up. And that's where we're at, dude. That's where we should be at.
Absolutely. I could 100% agree. And this is why I think a lot of people kind of go towards either the GOP or kind of Praxianism, if that's the right word for it. But they see these left libertarians who are saying, well, I'm for the vaccine mandate, or they're using libertarianism to explain how a vaccine mandate can be justified. It's like, you are literally 100% enabling medical fascism. Or, like, you don't see this. And what was it? Reason? That was
Reason and Cato can both get fucked, but yeah, absolutely.
How do you justify this? Like, you didn't stop when you were typing this article and say, oh, hold on, I'm literally like arming the state. Because now they could say, oh, libertarians, right? These guys are supposed to be the bastions of freedom and the most principled party out there. They agree with this, so this can't be that bad. Like, you don't stop and think about that while you're saying that, and you consider yourself a libertarian? How can you do that? That's why this, some parts of this movement won't grow, is because people see that and they're like, I ain't like these fucking dudes. No. They're for the vaccine mandate, and they call themselves libertarians. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, it's Reason and Cato can wrap themselves up with all the other fucking losers and get fucked. Like I literally, I don't care. Like those people, to me, they're so dead in this movement to me that I don't even pay attention to them anymore. You know what I mean? Like they're like, sure, they have a lot of listeners and readers and followers, but they ain't spouting that hot liberty shit. You know what I mean? Right. They're conflating the meaning of libertarianism. I mean, that's what they're doing. They're muddying the waters, and at this point, they're the op to me. You know what I mean? You're also my enemy. So, I mean, if you're gonna call yourself the biggest libertarian outlet in the world, then you better fucking be anti. There should only be one answer to what's going on with the federal government right now, and it should be no, no, fucking no, no, no. Not well, maybe this. Well, maybe no. That's it. Right. There should be no other answer for it. No, get fucked. We will fight you. That's it. And if you're going to call yourself the biggest libertarian outlet in the world and not do that, you're dead to me. You're absolutely dead to me.
Right. And it's sad that we have to work beside fucking Republicans because Republicans are going to be better than some fucking libertarians on this. I mean, these last 5 years, and some people might interpret me as almost being a leftist, but I've worked with boomer cons my entire adult life, and all I've heard for the last 5 years is that Trump is the greatest thing in the fucking world. And at a certain point, when you kind of see how it all played out, and you listen to the Austrians and their understanding of everything that goes on, and you look at the actual data, you kind of understand all the, hey, this is the greatest economy in the world. It was bullshit.
Right.
But if these people are going to be good on lockdowns and they're going to be better than people who call themselves libertarians, then hey, I'll work with you. We may not agree on war and the NSA, but if you're going to fight COVID, then okay, we could do that. But
Sure.
after that, get fucked because we actually care about individual freedom. You guys say you do, we actually mean it.
Right. Yeah, that's where we're at. You know what I mean? Like this is the this is the fight of our lives, man. I mean, we're in it right now, and if you don't understand that, then you have no place in politics or culture or none of that shit. To me, you're dead. You are dead in the water if you don't understand that this is the fight of our lives. If you can't look at the headlines saying you know this vaccine has been approved for children 5 to 11,
Mm-hmm.
5 to 11. And if you can't understand that with all the constant mandates coming out from the federal government, that eventually they're going to tell me that I have to put this in my children. And if you don't understand that that requires us to fight, then you're a net negative, and I don't want to work with you. Period. That's it.
Right.
So
And I think a lot of the data that's come out has pretty much said, like, look, your kids are probably more likely to die from the vaccine than from COVID. And I'm not a doctor,
they're more
but
likely to die from the drive to get the vaccine than they are from COVID, dude.
yeah, honestly, yeah, you're probably right.
You
So,
know?
and I can't believe, and even though a lot of the boomer cons that I've worked with kind of fell for this hook, line, and sinker, some of them were saying, oh, we need to shut this down. Oh, go get vaccinated. Oh, did you get vaccinated? Like, this kind of gets to another point. I've heard some libertarians on our side say that there's a lot of red pilled conservatives and that conservatives are waking up to this, but I don't have a solution for it, but I think some of the optimism's a little foolhardy because working with these guys 10 hours a day for the last, almost 10 years, I just don't think they're quite on our side as much as we want to
Sure.
believe, despite the fact that they may kind of say some of the stuff. If it was Donald Trump pushing vaccine mandates and mask
Oh, they'd be all
mandates,
for it, dude. There's no doubt
exactly.
about it.
And I hate to say that, but I don't know what the answer there is, man. Just because the Democrats in charge right now, they're radicalized. Um, but I don't think it's going to stay that way.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And I mean, at this point, it's like if they're willing to go out and fist fight the government, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I'll go fist fight the government with them, dude. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen after all this shit. But we got to get through this first. You know what I mean? Like this is if we don't get through this, we're all fucked. I mean, 4 years from now is not going to matter anymore because you're either going to be completely controlled hook, line, and sinker every single movement you make by the federal government, or you're not.
Mhm.
And that's all predicated on what happens right now. Right now. So if you're willing to fight, like I said, I'd trade the entire state of California for the construction workers in Australia that showed a penchant for
Mhm.
fighting the cops in the streets there over this stuff. Like I'd trade the whole state for them at this point.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
well, it's pretty fucking amazing to see France, Australia, all these other countries are going fucking berserk, and I think we may be getting to that point because, like I was saying earlier, in Pittsburgh, they're starting to roll out these vaccine mandates now, and there's protests. The police are talking about quitting. 26 states, I think I looked right before we were talking, are suing the federal government over this mandate. Do you think we're kind of at that tipping point?
Oh,
Because
we've been there, dude.
you
I've been
think,
saying it for a while. Violence is coming
Mhm.
in the United States, dude. It's coming, and it's coming soon. I mean,
Mhm.
there's people. You can only take so much, dude. You know what I mean? Until you leave people with nothing. And people that have nothing else to lose are dangerous, very dangerous
Mhm.
people, dude. It's coming, man. I know it. I feel it in my bones. I see it around me, dude. I see this shit creeping into a state like mine that's been really big on protecting us, and the people here they ain't gonna deal with it, dude. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? The people in the middle of the country are not going to deal with this shit, dude. They're not. They're not going to do it. So it's coming, dude. I know it's coming. You know, and I'm not saying I'm going to be a violent person, but I'm saying people out there are going to be violent people. It's going to happen. So
Yeah, and
I don't
that's
know.
a very, very, sad thing to see because it shouldn't have to come to that. But you're threatening people's livelihoods. You spent the last year and a half, 2 years telling people that they weren't essential. Like,
Right.
what does the government contribute to society when you think about it? They steal our money. They go bomb children overseas. They run us into debt. I mean, I think the national debt per taxpayer is around $230,000, if I recall
Mm-hmm.
correctly. Fact
Per
checked it on U.S. debt clock. It's going up ridiculously by the second, and then they have the nerve to tell people that they're unessential.
Yeah.
And then now you got to tell them, oh, well, you can go back to work, but now you have to get a shot in the arm. And then we don't know how long that lasts. Well, if you had the sickness too, even though there's plenty of studies that say that, you're better off with that, you still got to take the shot in the arm
Right.
anyways. That's how you know it's not just about COVID as well.
Yeah, I mean, most of us that have had it, the vast majority, more than 90 something percent,
Hmm.
have had COVID and survived it. I mean, that's, you know what I mean? We're fine. We're okay. And we shouldn't have to be forced to get the shot. In fact, CDC
Hmm.
just released meta analysis data that showed 100% that there is no difference between natural immunity and vaccine immunity. And, in my opinion, I still think that's a lie. I still think that, it's
Yeah.
probably better to have natural immunity. You have immunity to every single part of this virus if you get natural immunity. But, even the CDC is saying it. So anybody who's been let go, who's already had COVID, who's been let go because they didn't take the vaccine, should immediately be made whole again and put back at their job, because the CDC has told you directly that there is no difference between natural and vaccine immunity. That's from their own meta-analysis data.
Hmm.
Okay. They put that out. The CDC put that out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't hear that anywhere.
No,
And
of course not.
it's unfucking real.
No.
So I guess let's start to wrap up here, but I kind of want to talk about a little bit more optimism. Um, yeah, they were floating out a $3.5 trillion thing, and I'm not downplaying that because that obviously is bad and it's ridiculous that we're even talking about $1 trillion bills. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But um, now it's down to what is it, 500 billion, which is still a ridiculous amount of money. But I think a lot of people are kind of turning the tide and saying, like, dude, this is like a Ponzi scheme. This is ridiculous. Um, it started off at 3.5 trillion and now it's down to like I said, 500 billion. People are protesting against the mandates. um, there's plenty of people waking up to what's going on. The Libertarian Party is getting better and it's growing. What do you see that kind of makes you a little bit more optimistic about the future? Yeah, there's things to be pessimistic about, but what do you think's kind of good is going on and good coming out of this?
Well, I think there's a lot more people talking about freedom. I mean, and liberty, and how bad the government is. I that's, kind of my white pill every day. Is seeing some of these famous people too, like Aaron Rodgers doing what he's doing. That's kind of a white pill for me. It's very hard to get white pills right now.
Right.
It is because we're watching what's happening, and it's ugly and it's scary, and it really, where we're going to be at in 4 years from now is a terrifying thought. But there are some white pills, and I think that famous people waking up to this shit is really, that's a big white pill for me, dude. The more
Hmm.
people that speak out against this shit that are famous, the more the better we'll be off. Because like I said, culture is very important, dude. And
Hmm.
a lot of what people in this country take their things from, you know what I mean? Like their thinking there is from the culture. And so the more people and culture we have speaking out against it, the better. And so that's really the big white pill for me right now, man, is, Bogut and Kyrie Irving and Aaron Rodgers and some of these, famous musicians. And that's where it's at for me, man. I hope that we can keep changing that culture and pushing a culture of freedom and liberty and fight back against tyranny.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you know what? And that was one thing about Trump is that he did kind of cultivate the MAGA culture. And there are hordes of people who made their entire personality around being a Trump supporter. But there's something there that I think people shouldn't be so quick to dismiss as a lot of leftists would be. Um, that shows the impact that a political figure can have on people. and really draw them to the message. And
True.
I disagree with a lot of this, actually, a majority of the stuff that Trump put out, especially about China and all the spending and being a war skeptic and then being a war hawk when he gets in there. Um, I think if libertarians are able to cultivate that kind of community through whether it be a national candidate or on the local level by their local candidates, then I think we could see a big change within this country within the next, even 10 years.
Sure. Yeah, and we have that. We're at the precipice, man. I mean, this is it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it's now or never, dude. In 10 years we could be North Korea. I mean, that's really, you know what I mean? It's scary to think about, dude, but I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't think my mom has ever seen anything like this in
Mhm.
her life. My grandparents had never seen anything like, you know what I mean? It's bad, dude. It's bad shit right now. So hopefully more people keep fighting, but we'll see what happens.
For real. Yeah. I think we all hope it doesn't come down to that. So all right, man, go ahead, plug your shit. What you got going on?
Oh man, we'll just check out my show Monday through Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. You can check out Break the Cycle at youtube.com/fight the despots. I'm also on Odyssey. You can just look up Break the Cycle with Joshua Smith there, and all your favorite podcast apps, man. I put out my show the day after typically that it airs. I put it out on the audio feed. And then you follow me at Twitter, where I'm at war with the blue check marks. That's at Joshua at large. Yeah, that's it, man. That's pretty much it.
Nice. Well, make sure you follow Josh. I fucking love his podcast. I'm very, very jealous of your production quality.
Thanks, man.
Ever since like episode 1, I'm like, this fucking dude's got it going on.
Thanks, bro. It's crazy what a little bit of good lighting and a good camera can do, man. Really, it's huge.
Yeah, well, you look in here. If I open that blind anymore, my whole fucking head will disappear.
Wash
So,
out, dude. We'll put some. Hey, look, put some blackout curtains up. Get yourself some nice LED front lighting, dude. You know, it's all it takes, and a couple of backlights, like colored backlights, dude. It'll change your whole definition, dude.
nice, nice. Well, I'm glad I got that on video because I'm going to remember that. I'm going to watch it like 62 times to make sure
Nice.
I get it right.
Nice.
All right, everybody, in liberty and health. Take care.